Good day, fellow foodies. One thing you may not know about me is that I've always been a honey lover. You know, I take honey in my hot tea or on soft, warm sopapillas as we often have in our Mexican household, or sometimes I just drink it straight from the jar. But either way you slice it, I just can't get enough of it. In fact, I enjoy honey so much that I made a decision to take up beekeeping so that I could just have this fresh supply of honey all the time. I hoped to start a viable business, King Bee Honey. That just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Keyless does mean king in Spanish, in case you didn't know that, but that's just a little trivia for you. Plus, I'm thinking to myself, man, wouldn't it be neat to just walk into a grocery store and see my King Bee honey jars on the shelves? That really just became my goal. So to do the beekeeping thing, first you have to select a location for your bees and gather all the equipment. To begin, I cleared a place in my attic near the window. And this is a place for the bees to live so that I can go in there into their hive crate and get the honey whenever I needed to get it. I fashioned myself a beekeeper's outfit, which I'm very resourceful. My mom tells me that when I was a kid. But anyway, I made this great suit out of hefty bags and scotch tape that I had lying around. So then I was looking around for something else too to protect these beautiful hands of mine. I used to do hand modeling in the past. And I stumbled across my wife's gardening gloves. Now, these gloves were terrific. The orange floral pattern would surely cause the bees to think that my hands that were actually going to steal the honey were nothing but harmless blossoms, because we both know bees are just not the brightest insects out there. So now any smart beekeeper knows that you have to have a smoker. The smoker's purpose is just really to calm the bees down. Well, I didn't have a smoker, but again, as I told you a minute ago, I'm a resourceful guy. I easily made one by just putting old newspaper together in a bucket and heating it until it caused the right amount of smokage that I needed to do the job effectively. Lastly, I tracked down my final and possibly most important piece of equipment in this whole deal, and that is a tennis racket. You know, this tennis racket, it's a very important piece of equipment for one reason only. It serves as a useful tool for you to beat those bees into submission if something goes wrong, or if they simply don't make enough honey, or they don't deliver honey in the appropriate timeline that you have. The next thing you need to do is you need to establish who's the boss. When the bees come in, when they arrive to you, you got to locate the queen right away. Okay? Now, the queen's real easy to spot. She's slightly longer than the other bees and has this pompous air about her that distinguishes her from the other peasant bees. I mean, it's obvious, okay? Pull the queen aside, and you got to let her know right away, listen, Queenie, okay, I get you, but I'm the king bee of this operation, so to speak, and you and the other worker bees will ultimately have to answer to me. So after establishing all this, several weeks go by in this wonderful business venture of mine, and I could tell that something wasn't right. So I put on my awesome suit that I made, and I squeezed my hands into those floral pattern gardening gloves, picked up my tennis racket, and I sent it into the attic, which was at this point literally buzzing. Sorry. Buzzing with activity. You can use that. Anyway, there in the center of my beehive box sat my queen with her "you're not the boss of me" attitude. All at once, as if on command, they just attacked me. But I stood my ground. I stood my ground. They were just relentless though, so I went back downstairs very calmly and stepped outside to take a moment to think about the whole thing. And you know what? There really is more important things that I could be doing with my time to serve my fellow man than to be doing this bee business of mine. So really just felt it was time to just move on. So I gathered my stuff. I walked down to this nearby river that's right by my house, a real peaceful place for me to just go and think sometimes. I just laid my bee suit down, my tennis racket, and everything else. I just kind of just had a little ceremony to myself and just watched it float away. It was nice. But you know what? Just because things don't always work out the way you expect them, they really can still work out to your benefit. So, despite what you do, I always wish each of you the best of luck in all your endeavors and great success. Thank you, fellow foodies.